Thank you, Andrea. We did it again. Yes, WuJi, the origin.
Supreme mystery.
Supreme mystery.
That's what WuJi means. It means a mystery. So nature really is a mystery, right?
Yes.
We have a lot of regular seasons, right? Every year we know the winter comes, right? But every year we don't know what that winter will look like or feel like, right? It's a mystery. Every day the sun rises, but we don't really know what that day will bring, you know. So at the heart of existence is this supreme mystery, this supreme unknown, you know.
Yeah.
So there's regularity in nature, but there's also this absolute mystery, this unknown. And so WuJi Gong means skill at entering that mystery in some way, you know. So every human being is really a mystery, you know.
And we hardly try to conquer ourselves and to leave from the real world of the mystery into a controlled world, rational.
Right.
And this is in fact crazy from a Taoist point of view.
Well, it's a learning experience, right? It's a learning. We learn gradually over time to surrender more and more to life.
To surrender.
Yeah, to surrender. But it's part of being human to want certainty. The mind actually wants certainty. Our hearts don't care anything about certainty. All they care about is love, you know, and experience, you know. And so.
Being or feeling the love, feeling the connection, or not. We saw the two forms.
Yes.
Two forms.
Earth and heaven.
Earth and heaven.
Yeah. So earth represents our experience. You know, the Taoists have these code words, you know, and earth is not just about our planet Earth, but it's about all material existence. Okay? And heaven is a code word for the formless. Okay, so this is very interesting, you know, like if you really start to understand the Taoist terminology, you know, and the Taoist teachings, they're very simple, but we have to understand the sort of code words. So heaven is not up there, you know.
It's the unformed,
it's the unformed, yes. And so the deeper dimensions of ourselves, like when we dream, we go into the formless realm. You can't see thoughts, you can't experience, if you cut the body open, you don't see feelings. So that's part of what we call heaven. Part of the heavenly realm is the part of us that's invisible, right? So this is a big mistake that many people on the spiritual path make. They think that heaven is up there somewhere and that we're going to go there when we die. But actually, from the Taoist point of view, we go deeper and deeper and deeper inside, you know. And so WuJi Gong, WuJi Gong is a way to open up communication with those deeper dimensions of ourselves, you know, to start to feel that we're connected with everything, you know. And it's a journey, you know, it's a journey of life, of going deeper and deeper into our own being, you know, and start to make conscious those formless realms inside of us so that they can come and live in our daily life.
Formless and the form.
Yes.
You've told us in the beginning that here in the studio, actually we have represented quite all the elements.
Yes, in the colors, least from the point of view of the colors.
For example, this, what is it? The background
is blue.
The blue.
Yeah. So it's more water.
Water element.
And relates to the north direction.
North direction. Here is the ground.
Yes, the yellow. It's like an earth. Yes, which relates to the center.
Okay.
Yes.
The white.
Yeah, is more metal.
Metal.
Yeah. Relates to the west.
And so on. We have also the red and the flowers.
Yes.
The elements.
Yes.
We quite often forget that we have to be a whole person with all the elements. But let's come back to the WuJi.
Yes.
So the form. Are any connection between the moves and the form name or dimension? For example, the movements from earth form are different than
Yes.
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 Can you give us a small example, maybe?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I'm glad you asked. So, for example, the heaven movement is much more flowing. You know, there's no stability there. There's no stopping, right? It's just a continual movement, and you'll notice it is a vertical movement. Like, so the movements are coming down the left and right sides of the body. It's a vertical movement. So the heaven movement is those movements in the four directions. Whereas the earth movements, there's actually a center. You can see we go to the right and we come to the center. We go to the left and we come to the center. And then you have these movements that are drawing in the chi from the different directions, right? So this is all about earth, right? We want to harmonize with all those different directions, all those different influences in our life, you know, because many of us have left our energy scattered all over the place, right? And so this brings all that energy back into our center so we can reclaim it. Yeah.
The center, so it's connected with the earth.
Yes, yeah, this is the key element in Taoist thinking, you know, because we need a center.
A center. Without a center, we are eccentric.
Well, without a center, we lose ourselves, you know. So we need a center that's neutral, that doesn't react, right? And that takes training. We have to train ourselves to learn how to find our center and how not to be pulled away from our center by very strong emotions or worrying thoughts, right? So the training is very different to, say, something like mindfulness, where a lot of the time the center is just in consciousness. The Taoists believe that we need to center our consciousness in the body and crystallize that spirit deep inside it. Yes, yes.
This is the whole history between the Xia Dantian and the Free Dantians and why four fingers below the navel, something like that, but it's quite approximately.
Yeah, well, the Taoists, you know, and if you go to China and you talk about the Tao, many times they'll say it's here or it's there or it's somewhere else, but actually the real, from the alchemical point of view, our Dantian, every human being's Dantian is deep in their core channel, which is a core channel that runs from the crown to the perineum. And if you sort of just go a few fingers below the navel and go right into the center there, that's a portal. That's a portal. Maybe your viewers need to understand these words, you know, but we have a center of gravity, a physical center of gravity, which is related to the belly. And the Taoists would call that your essence, your Jing, you know. And if you look at little babies, they're really in their center, you know. They're very rooted and grounded. You know, if you saw a little baby, I always give this analogy when I'm teaching, you know, a little baby walks into a big ballroom, you can imagine, with thousands of people, right? And it's just like, it's in its little belly, you know, and it's just looking around, and it's not self-conscious at all, right? It's not like worried about what people are thinking, right? So this is a center that we're born with. We're born with that center. And, you know, and when you have this center, when you start to, and of course when we get older, it gets trained out of us. We start to come more in, and our center becomes our head, you know. So the Taoist training and WuJi Gong training is about getting back to our center, getting really more grounded and more rooted, and more in the moment, in our day-to-day life, and more in our body, I would say.
The symptoms of losing our center are, of course, all the negative emotions, all the sensation that we have not a significant life, so we are lost in our way. Isn't it?
I think most people are a combination. You know, many people have parts of their life where they feel quite centered. You know, like for example, you're probably very comfortable in this job that you do. You know, as a presenter, you know, you feel very like, you know it. You're okay with it. You know, but there may be other areas of your life that are challenging. You know. So the Taoists view the human life as a journey. It's like a soul journey of learning, right? So it's not about bad or good. It's about finding that inside of us that's true, right, and real, right? So all emotions, all thoughts come from chi, come from life force, right? So they're made of life force. So none of them are bad. We just experience them as bad, right? Or when we're a little kid, for example, we don't compare sadness to happiness. We just experience the sadness, right? Or we just experience the joy.
Like
right?
day and night storm.
Exactly, exactly. And we're not referencing things to our past, right? We're authentic. We're flowing.
Connected with the flow.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we're not judging any of it, you know? And so this is why Jesus said, you know, if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, become like a little child. He didn't mean, you know, go back in time,
yes.
right? He actually meant just be with life in the same way a child is, which is to be spontaneous, to be relaxed. And it's okay, you know, it's all part of the arising of consciousness.
So those are the conditions to be relaxed, to be spontaneous, the condition to be centered. Otherwise, the chi is stuck.
Yes, yes. And we're stuck in repetition. We're stuck in repetition. So you could say the difference between a child, a very young child, and an older person is a lot of times the older person is just repeating things. They wake up with the same thoughts, wake up with the same feelings, you know. But a child is very spontaneous and original, and this is why in the Tao Te Ching they say those closest to the Tao, those closest to the mystery, are the ones are very young children or very wise sages, you know. You know?
Yes.
So basically what happens when you practice WuJi Gong, when you start to practice this, you start to balance all of the energies, all of the natural energies, you bring them inside of you and it starts to neutralize these repetitious patterns, these swings between, you know, up and down, you know, sad and good, you know, and we start to dissolve those with something called yuan qi, or original energy, or neutral force is another word for that. So we have yin force and we have yang, but we also have this hidden neutral force or pure love, right? And it's the ground of being. It's invisible, you know. It's like, how can a drop in the ocean know the whole ocean, sort of thing, right? Because it's invisible. But we feel it. For example, when a man and woman come together, they create instantly that third force, which we could say is love. It's an invisible force. It's hidden.
So it's not yin, not yang.
No, it's pure unconditional acceptance, I would say, you know. And even if you leave a marriage after maybe 10 years, what you created together is there. It's like you've birthed something, some pure love into the world.
This is the background of reality. Now it passed through my mind a Tibetan line said that the essence of the ultimate reality, it's the void, as a metaphor of course, and something like compassion, but I think this is it. Kind of neutral force.
Well, you have this mystery at the core of everything, right? So everything arises from the mystery, and out of that mystery comes this pure love. This, so you would say, you know, just this pure unconditional acceptance, you know. And if anyone's ever experienced that, it's, you know, it's beyond words. You can't really describe what that love feels like. It's so powerful, and that's the way every one of us is loved from deep inside. You know, we're all loved unconditionally by life, you know, and so
let's come again to resume. So we have to have a center again. The earth form, the center. Without the center, our life, it's
well, it's more challenging. I mean, we can still deal with our life. You know, of course, many people deal with their life, but when we feel disconnected from our center or disconnected from love. Right? Like if there's one thing you see about little kids, why we love them so much, they're full of love, you know, full of this original energy. Why is that? Because they've come from it, you know, they've been in the deeper dimensions, you know, and they're suddenly in their mother's womb, you know, and they've got the memory of coming from those deeper dimensions. So when we look at a small child, we feel this love emanating from them. That's why we're fascinated by small children, because that yuan qi is very strong in a very small child. That original energy is very strong. And then as we get older, we gradually forget it. And we lose that connection. And it's meant to be like that, because otherwise we wouldn't learn, we wouldn't grow, and we wouldn't evolve, you know. So
why WuJi Gong? There are many styles.
Yes.
So what? This is the thirst, the origin.
Yeah. So how I learned this from a fellow Universal Healing Tao instructor called Michael Wynn, who I'm bringing to Romania in May, and he was the one who introduced me to this form, you know, and he learnt it from a very old Chinese gentleman who was the first one actually to introduce this to the public, you know, and his name was WuJi. He died in, I think, 1997. And so WuJi said that this form was passed down in secret from the creator of Tai Chi, which was someone called Chan San Fan. And so Tai Chi, as you probably know, is a martial art. You know, it's where the energy comes up from the earth, you know, and it comes out. You know, so the energy is moving up from the earth, and you're transmuting it through your body, and it comes out. Whereas WuJi Gong is about taking the energy back in. It's about uncovering what's inside. So it's a spiritual form of Tai Chi. Sometimes we call it primordial Tai Chi. And so this form was designed for enlightenment, or to uncover those deeper dimensions inside of us. So it has a very pure lineage, and you know, what most people experience, even complete beginners, when they start to practice this, even after the first time they practice, is they start to connect with this pure love, this peace of the soul inside, you know. So it's my mission to really educate people, because it's so easy to learn. You can learn it in, you know, in a couple of hours, you know, and then you have it for life, you know, and it will start to open up this connection with your true self, your true center, the love in your heart, you know, and it will start to balance your worldly life and your spiritual life. It will start to bring them together. So this is my bigger mission. I want people to start to bring their daily life and their spiritual ideals together into an integrated whole. And I think that's the biggest challenge we all have, is how to bring this into truth and into reality in our daily life. You know?
And now, shall we pass to more detailed elements? For example, when we were rehearsal, the fellows from our crew put the lights. You've told me about ending all the forms with this position.
Yes.
So this position, and I ask you, is it a reason to put right hand in the front of the left and so on? I ask you if this is the male hand in the Western tradition put over, and you've told me something very interesting.
Yeah.
Please. So,
what did I tell you?
About yin and yang.
Yes, so in this form, the yin embraces the yang.
The yin embraces the yang.
Yeah.
So this is the
right hand always embraces the left. Yes.
And this is the inside, so the yin part, yes, and this is the yang part. So the yin part. Embracing the yang.
Exactly.
So it's as if it were embraced by a female, by a receptive force, universal force.
Yes.
So WuJi, it's yin-based.
Yes. It's a divine feminine. It opens up this space to the divine feminine, to this unconditional acceptance. It's where yin and yang are birthed from, right? It's from this divine feminine. The Taoists sometimes call it the primordial feminine, or there's an image for it of this sort of I don't know if I can say this on TV, cosmic vagina. You know, it's that all of life is coming out of this. Somehow. You know. So anyway, this form always ends with an embrace of the earth, right? So we're really embracing the earth, right? And then we're embracing the formless realms. And even though we're going up, we're recognizing that heaven is deep inside of us. It's the formless. And so we're connecting to the central channel called the Chongmai. So it's this central channel that runs from the crown all the way down to the perineum. So if people are watching this at home, they could try this very simple movement, and they'll start to feel the chi of this particular form. And as you move down, your hands are sort of making a beautiful butterfly effect. The right hand is moving across the left, you know, and it's very wonderful. But the most important thing is that you're integrating the earth, right? You're saying, I want more of the earth to come into my body, and I want my soul, the formless in me, to also be integrated. And where am I integrating it? I'm integrating it in my own center, you know, here in the Dantian, or here in this energetic center of my body. Right? And the ultimate goal is you open up this deeper and deeper connection inside of yourself to these, for most of us, hidden energetic realms, So the Taoists, they open up the space inside, and they make that space very powerful inside. So they're always connected to it.
How to stand? It's a simple thing. If I stand like this with the
yeah. The key thing is the knees. You know, if we bend the knees too much. Right, then the chi goes into the knee joint, and this is why the knees sometimes with Tai Chi people it's not so well, you know. So you have to keep the knees a little bit relaxed, but not so much that all the weight is on them. So a little bit relaxed, and so that you feel the chi moving through the legs, so you feel connected to the earth, right? But if you do this, then you immediately feel pain in your knees.
Yes,
right?
and so the chi will
get stuck
here.
Yeah, so you have to let it flow, and you're flowing it through the bones. You know, you're flowing it. So there's this movement, this very beautiful movement, where we're drawing the chi from the direction, so whatever direction we're facing, and we're drawing it down the leg channels into the earth.
The leg channel.
So it's almost like you're making a circle down into the earth and drawing the chi, right? And this will ground you, it will strengthen you, it will keep you rooted to the earth.
Yes, and then the weight it's passing and coming from...
You're rocking, basically. You're rocking from left to right, right? And so as I said, you know, when you're doing this heaven movement, it's a formless movement. So you're activating the left and right sides of your body.
Yes.
And so we can just go into silence and just feel what that feels like, you know, just activate the left side of the brain. So we're harmonizing the left and right brain as well with this movement. So this form has amazing health benefits. So if we just go into silence and just rock our body, and we're coming down the left side, all the way down into the feet. And you can start to feel the chi of this form. You'll feel it very fast. You'll start to feel it, especially if you close your eyes. And then there's this very beautiful movement at the end where we make these very beautiful 9 circles. Yeah, that's it, Mate. That's it. So 9 is the number of man. You know? So 12 movements of earth, 10 movements of heaven, 9 movements of man. We spend 9 months in the womb, and then we do this finishing. It's so simple to learn this. Anyone can learn from 8 to 80. You know, and I've even taught it to people who are paralyzed, you know, or in a wheelchair, and I teach them how to do the movements with their energy body, and it really helps.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Excuse me.
They are using this kind of training also with the high performance persons.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So imagining in a way, imagining, but
yeah. And so you're directly activating all these energy channels in the body. So WuJi Gong is it's a living form. In China there are many thousands, tens of thousands of Qigong forms, but not many living forms. And what the living form mean is that it's alive. And it's a lineage. So when people practice it, they feel the connection to the lineage. And they feel the chi, you know, and from that point alone, you know, it's the main reason I'm teaching it is because anybody will have an experience of the deeper dimensions inside, and they will start to feel that chi is something they can really start to experience inside themselves.
How many forms are
in China?
No, in your lineage, your teachings.
In this WuJi Gong, only this one movement. This heaven, earth.
Yes. So those 2, heaven and earth.
But they're together. They make the form.
Together. So this is the form.
That's the form that people learn.
In fact, you show
at the beginning.
At the beginning.
I did 1 earth and 1 heaven at the beginning.
Yes.
But that was to one direction. I start in the east and I finished in the south. And I did an earth sequence to the east and a heaven sequence to the east. And then I'm facing the south. Then I do the same, an earth and heaven. And you go around until you do all the directions. And what that does is it brings in a very balanced energy into your body. Very harmonious, very balanced. And it starts to dissolve these very extreme polarities that we all carry, you know, and you start to feel more relaxed and more peaceful. And if you practice regularly, it actually is very magical what happens to people's lives. It really transforms people's lives, you know, beautiful, you know, in health ways. WuJi, who, you know, introduced the form to the general public, you know, he attributed it to healing him of liver cancer, you know, and things like this, you know, so that was his experience of it. And that's why he started teaching it to people with heart disease and diabetes, and just as a general health maintenance, you know. So this is why I'm such a fan, because I think it's very simple to learn, and it's a gift from life to humanity
and
at this time.
Lots of positive studies about Qigong.
Yes,
and
many.
it is explainable in mainstream medicine.
Yes.
Regarding to its effects, and we have no possibility to doubt on it. The only thing is to have.
Well, for some people, they can doubt, right? Because Qi is invisible, right? We can't, but we know it exists. We know there's life force inside of us. This is what's, you know. So someone who's very scientific, for example, they say, "Well, prove to me that Qi exists," right, or something like that, right? And then you could say to the doctor, say, "Okay, well, prove to me that you love your wife." I mean, it's invisible, right? Qi is invisible. Love is invisible. It's you can't. Well, you can measure it. I mean, they've done studies with something called heart math, where they measure people's hearts, you know, and right? Yeah, yeah,
to measure
yeah.
Love meter. So
love
something.
meter, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
The life as a beautiful journey, laughing and surrendering. So now to the synchronicity. I think that yesterday or the day before yesterday, a good friend of mine, Daniel, sent me an email. He said, I was looking to YouTube and I find Andrew Fretwell's demonstration about WuJi Gong, and he's a Qigong practitioner, old Qigong practitioner. He said, very interesting, you have to know this guy. And I've replied to Daniel, you see, tomorrow we have a program dedicated to it. And I've told you, and I was wondering, how come it is a coincidence?
No.
Is it a coincidence? And
No.
You sent me a beautiful picture with the iceberg,
Yes.
with a map. What about synchronicity?
Yes.
So, tell us about leaving, surrendering. More you lose, more you get. What is?
It doesn't sound like a very good advert, does it? The more you lose, the more you get.
Yes. I don't want to lose nothing. I have nothing to give you. My money, my.
Well, I guess we have to look at what nature is, right? Mm-hmm. So if we look at nature, like nature is always giving, it's always sharing. You know, when a tree has grown and the fruit drops naturally to the ground, right? And if you think of our sun, you know, all it does is shine its light and its goodness on us. And the earth gives us her bounty, right? So all of nature is really supporting everything in existence, right? And human beings are part of nature, right? We're part of nature. We're not separate to it. Our minds can make us think we're separate of it, right? So basically, synchronicity starts to happen when you start to align with nature and when you start to take on the same qualities of nature. And what are those qualities? It's about service. It's about serving the whole, you know. It's about taking all the gifts and skills you have and saying, okay, life gave me these. And this is what the Taoists call Ming, or worldly destiny. You know, everyone has a unique Ming, you know. Everyone has a unique experience, you know, and, you know, no human soul in that respect is the same. We're the same in the sense that we have the same bodies, we have the same organs, you know, we cry the same tears, we have the same emotions. But our individual astrology, the influence of our life is totally unique, you know, and so we're actually learning here in Earth. We're learning through our unique experience. You know, you're learning from your unique experience, I'm learning from mine. So that means every human being is totally valuable, is totally necessary for the whole. Every human being has a unique Ming, or a unique destiny. And destiny is not, destiny is not fixed. It's not like the fortune tellers and say, oh, your destiny is to do this, this and this. No.
We are constructing our destiny?
Absolutely. We're designing our destiny by the way we respond to what life brings to us, what nature brings to us. So if you have this understanding that all of life is actually supporting you in finding your way, you know. So we have to let life in deeply, we have to let the experiences in deeply, and we will then start to align with these more natural forces. And that's what the WuJi Gong is doing. It's drawing in all the different directions, you know, the earthly directions, the heaven direction, the earth direction, and it's bringing it into its center. And it's almost like neutralizing all those influences. Because if we merge with something, it no longer controls us. And in that way, we start to unfold our destiny. We start to find our way. Instead of repeating, we start to find our way. So WuJi Gong is really a skill at unfolding your Ming, your destiny, your worldly destiny. And then, of course, we have a spiritual destiny. And that's the same for all of us, which is to realize our oneness with all of life. So your question was about synchronicity, so excuse me for going around, but it's important to understand. So once we start to find our way, you know, once we align with nature and we find our way, then what naturally starts to happen is we start to see this synchronicity. And it's almost like a message from the gods or from nature to say, hey, well done, you're on your way, you know, you're on your path, you know. So I have those experiences a lot, you know, where just, you know, what you shared, I have that a lot, you know, and it's getting more so, you know. The more I relax, the more I let go, and I trust, it's like those experiences start to happen, you know. It's very beautiful.
More to trust, more to let go.
Yeah.
We have to repeat this those words and this experience more and more each day, in order to surrender, and so to little by little to come back again to the nature, to be aligned.
Right.
And so the sign of the synchronicity is that we may continue of this road, but it is not a structured road. We are repeating because we cannot afford ourselves to surrender. So of course we keep our structures.
It's a combination, right? It's not just about surrender, right?
Yeah.
It's also about putting in action our spiritual values, right? So the surrender comes when we start to take action in the world. So, you know, like for me, WuJi Gong is something deeply important to me. I know it serves the whole, right? So I can put it out there. I can go into the world and say, okay, I want to teach WuJi Gong and I want to share it, right? And as I do that, you know, things are going to come to me from the world, right? And this is where the surrender comes in, you know, because I have to adapt, right? So I may have a certain vision of how I think that should express in the world, but life may have another one, right? So that's where the surrender comes in, right?
Okay.
So it's not just about surrender, it's also about putting into action our values. Like if you didn't come to work here every day, you know, so, but within that, you come to work here every day, but within that, you're surrendering to this talk, right? Like I'm interrupting you sometimes, I'm very sorry.
No, please, I'm not sorry. It's quite a new dimension, so not surrendering in itself, but also having a vision.
Our values, what's important for us.
And thinking, so for example, I want, a stupid example, I want a big house with a swimming pool. Okay, I cannot surrender. Okay, God, please give me. Now I surrender to your will, of course, in order to give me the house. in our society we have those kind of goals,
Yeah,
external ones.
right,
Okay,
right,
this
right.
is that's why we usually don't have a house, because this is not the way.
Well, for example, like yesterday I met a beautiful man. He's a dental surgeon, you know, and he wants to introduce a new way of dentistry, which is very caring and very soft, and helping people to go into their fear, you know. I mean, it's so beautiful to meet this man. And, you know, this is what I mean by destiny and Ming. You know, everyone has a unique thing. And if you asked him, you know, say, well, why do you want to do this? He would say something like, well, I see a need, you know, I see a need within, you know, when people come into my office, they're terrified, you know, and I want to make that a one. So this is about serving, right? This is about, and every one of us has unique gifts and unique skills, right? And if we can start to align with that and think, how can I serve? You know, how can I share my wonder or my gifts with the world, right? And yeah, if you want a wonderful house in the meantime as well, why not? You know, but I think the key thing is to be true to what's really important in life. You know, so why do we want a big house? Why do we want a swimming pool? Why do we want lots of money? Why do we want to be famous?
The projection of an
Why
inner
do we want
space.
it? Why do we want it?
Why?
Because when we think when we get it, our hearts will open and we'll feel love. You know? But it's a lie in a way, because we already love, right? But we're blocked off from it, right? From these conditionings, from this karma, from the influences of society, from our parents, from our astrology. So we feel disconnected from our hearts. So we look outside and we say, oh, if I have a house or if I have a lovely car. So there's nothing fundamentally wrong with any of that, right? What's the misunderstanding is that we think that will give us peace. And it's not true. I mean, if you read all the spiritual traditions, they all say the same thing.
Again, what gives us peace, Andrew? What gives
our soul.
Our soul.
And completing our destiny. Like, we all come here to complete something. You know, if you look at your life, you know, like, we feel incomplete in certain areas of our life. And if we start to complete those, if we start to complete it, then we start to feel more whole. So, for example, in my life, you know, I've always had a very strong connection to my spirit and my soul, but it's been really challenging for me to bring that into reality, to bring it into everyday life, to have an organization, to run that organization in a way that's very beautiful and harmonious. That's been a big challenge for me. And I know if I can overcome that challenge, if I can make that more of a reality, to bring these spiritual ideals through, say, something like WuJi Gong into my everyday life and have a team of people and really make that beautiful, I will feel more complete in myself. So my destiny is something about that, right? So we all have little challenges and places where we feel incomplete. And there's a reason we feel incomplete, because we're going to learn through that incompletion and we're going to become more whole through that. It's a school, basically.
It's a school.
Right? Like when we learned to walk, you know, like we didn't learn to walk straight away. We fell down a few times, right? And then once we learned, we were like, okay, I've got that, I've done that, you know. And for some reason, you know, when we get older and we're more mature, we think that our emotional growth and our spiritual growth, we shouldn't fall down, you know. But it's part of it, you know, it's part of the learning.
Yes. Allow me, dear Andrew, to offer you Byron Katie's book published in Romania by For You Publishing House. Without your story, who you are without your story? So,
To me?
Yes, this is the question of and your story and my story, and so thank you. I know that you understand some Romania, and
thank you.
Please,
thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love this whole thing about story. So for me, story is another word for repetition, I would say.
Ah, yes.
You see?
The repetition.
Yeah. So story is a repetition. And authenticity is beyond that. It's natural.
Story.
It's out of story. Yeah, it's absolutely natural.
No story.
No story.
No story.
No.
And now this vessel. I was thinking. So we are like this vessel in a way.
Yes, we are.
So maybe you can tell us what represents this vessel. And
so this is a very famous Taoist image. It's called a cauldron.
cauldron.
And if you notice, it has 3 legs.
So we have 3 legs
And
here.
those represent, well, the Taoists are really into 3s, you know. So it represents Jing, Qi, and Shen, you know, the different manifestations.
The three treasures.
Three treasures.
Yes.
Or it could represent
Yeah.
earth, heaven, and humanity.
And yes, we between
Yes.
earth, heaven and earth,
humanity,
between
yes.
structure and no structure.
Exactly. Form
So,
and formless.
Form
yes.
and formless,
Yes,
yin and
yes.
yang,
Yes, yes.
soul and body,
Yes,
night
yes.
and day, and so
Yes, and so that is a symbol of where we practice alchemy inside of ourselves. So the cauldron actually is, this is called a cauldron.
Cauldron.
Yes,
So
a cauldron.
the vessel.
Yeah,
yes.
a vessel, yes. And
Yeah.
this is the vessel that holds the elixir.
And that's why here it's a kind of a dragon or
Yeah.
a dog. I think
Let
from-
me have a look. What is
please
it on here?
from with having something touching and guarding. It's a guardian, I think.
Yes, yeah. Because when we practice alchemy, we need to keep that.
Please.
The Taoists have this image, you know, that our immortal self, you know, in the beginning is like a fetus, and we have to develop it. And so this lid actually protects the fetus, this original self that we're growing inside ourselves, you know. So the Taoists have many images related to the cauldron, you know, but this is a representation of this place within us where we practice alchemy, where we complete our destiny inside of ourselves, especially our spiritual destiny, where we start to crystallize this immortal soul actually inside of us. It's very esoteric, but this is a very beautiful
And we also
image.
have the immortals drawing on the vessels, and
Yes.
plus the free animal figures.
Yes.
So this kind of representation.
Yes.
What is the animal?
To be honest with you, I mean, this looks like, I mean, it's, you know, I'm not such an expert on it. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. It's a very unusual. I mean, this looks like a dragon,
Yes,
dragon on
yes,
either
yes,
side,
yeah.
and this one looks more like a, what is that? That is very bizarre. I really don't know. I'd have to look at it more closely. It's like a lion or something.
You see, you are, Andrew, so authentic, because many of us would say, of course, this is kind of a guardian animal. It is not quite adequate to this kind of environment to say, I don't know, I am not an expert.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I have no.
Not in that.
Yes. To accept that this is the way ourselves. This is what we are. We are.
Yeah. Stop
now,
pretending.
Now, Elena told us that we only have 2 minutes.
Only 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yes,
okay.
the time space passing. So
Shall we just finish with the form a little bit?
Please,
Shall we
please.
do that?
Beautiful.
Shall we face here and
Yes,
just, you know,
yes,
and maybe I
yes.
just show you the opening movements. So the first thing we do is just face. We go into the WuJi. We go into the mystery.
Yeah.
So you do nothing. You just rest. You know. So that is the first movement, and then out of that, there comes this oneness. So that first initial movement, and 1 becomes 2. And of course, as soon as we have 2, we have 3, we have what's between us. And then we go to this side. Ah, it's beautiful, man. And back, and now the right hand's on top, left hand underneath. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. And now we're activating our very lowest energy, like the sexual, the creative energy, and we're drawing it up in what's called the classic microcosmic orbit. We're going down into the earth. Yeah, it's like we're embracing our aura, and then we're coming up to the heart, and we're going to go to the right, which represents the moon. So we didn't really get to that. The moon, the sun, and the stars, what the Taoists call the 3 lights of heaven. Oh, beautiful, Mateo. And then you come back down, and now we're in the earth again, and we turn. And I think we'll finish there. It's probably 2 minutes. And we'll finish with the closing, yeah. Just coming down, coming up, and down. Wow. What a pleasure with you to do this, Mikhail.
Oh,
Thank you for
Andrew,
making this available.
Thank you very much. And you see, the first time I'm doing these movements, but having you and supporting me, you told me how beautiful I'm doing. You are, it's a beauty inside you that we may see and I may see. And thank you. Thank you again. It's a real pleasure. And see, here is not quite usual to do this in the television studio because we are not acting. We are living. We are living it, and this can be felt also.